So I want you all to remember something, like very important, okay? I want you guys to remember that anytime someone tries to pass their opinion as a fact without the facts to back up their opinion, they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to persuade you one way or the next, and they don't care about what the actual truth is. They are just trying to sometimes gaslight, but the ultimate objective is to manipulate you. Oftentimes, these people have been manipulated themselves. And so therefore, they're trying to get you along, like they're trying to get you to believe the same way they believe based on sometimes just their feelings. There's no real backing behind what they have to say, no evidence to support what they have to say. So why do I say that? I say that because we're living in a world that is very weird as it relates to the relations between black men and black women. And it's particularly true like on social media, but I think that this is already spilling into real life and it's going to continue to do so. Okay. You guys know, like I'm back and forth, from the Bay, you know what I'm saying? I'm all through California and like, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, like, even in places like Oakland, you go to like places like Alameda, you go to like places like that, bro, like you see evidence of the opinions that you're hearing from certain women, like, black women online. You're seeing that play out in real life, in relationships, right? So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask you guys this question, right? In terms of like why when the question came up, why some black men don't deal with black women, when that question came up, the response from women tells you a lot about how they truly feel about black men, right? What do I mean by that? So when I first heard about like divestment, right? Divestors, right? The black women got a whole term for it. What do they call interracial relationships between like Asian women and white men, which is like one of the most popular relationships, like in the Asian community. Like, what do they call, like, what is the term that they call for Hispanic women when they date outside their race? Like, or Hispanic men when they date outside theirs? Like, what is the term for that? Like, there isn't one. But we have one. But anyways, when I heard about this, right, and you start to see all these divestment channels pop up, like for a while, I peeked my head in the door because I wanted to actually hear what these women had to say about why they wanted or felt that non-black men would be a better option for them, even though like the data and the statistics really say otherwise in terms of like the amount of black women who are getting married, right? So I listened and I wanted to hear what they had to say, and I felt like a lot of what they had to say really is a revelation of the type of men that they would be willing to deal with, right? Or what their expectation is for black men. Like, so like, in other words, all black men are not like irresponsible, like people who are going to make bad decisions or drag your life like down. Like, that's not all black men, but it seemed as though a lot of the women who are on that side of the pond had to push this negative trope, this negative narrative about black men to kind of justify, they had to vilify black men in order to justify their own choice in the types of men that they were looking to date. And I found that to be very disingenuous because like I know black women in real life who are married to non-black men, and I don't think it's due to any lack from any black men that were in their lives. So I find it to be weird. But the bottom line is, as I was concerned about and I cared about and I wanted to know like why. But when you hear black men talk about why some of them don't deal with like black women, and they explain to you why, the response from most women is like complete chaos. Like, oh, like, first of all, they don't even listen to what this guy has to say. Like his opinion and his thoughts are completely invalidated. They just deny it completely. And they'll point the finger and say, well, it's your fault that black woman is treating you bad, or that black woman has a negative attitude, or like it's your fault, right? Like, so you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and that's the reason why she's out of pocket. I have a different opinion about this, right? And before I even get into that, let me say this. I still believe that black women are definitely the best option for black men. And I believe that a lot of black men, if you're going to get married, you're going to like I still, for many reasons, believe that the black American woman is the best option, the blessed option for black American men, for sure. Okay. But we have a problem in our community in terms of the way that we treat one another, both male towards females and females towards males. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think the problem in the way that the women treat the men is actually a bigger deal, because I'm going to tell you all something. Like, it seems as though a lot of black women are oblivious to the disrespect. And like, I'm going to put it like this to you. This world has positioned black women as the enemy of black men. And I gave you my opinion, and I'm going to back it up with data, with facts, right? I'm going to tell you why I believe that. So I'm going to ask you this question. What other race of woman on the planet Earth weaponize? Well, before I say that, do y'all think that black women, okay, not every single black woman, but black women generally speaking, okay, weaponize their education, their educational achievements against black men? Meaning, like, do they use their educational accomplishments as a way of saying that they deserve a better tier of men because of that, or because another man doesn't have the same level of education as me, then I can't deal with him because he's not educated, right? That's weaponizing your education against your own male counterpart. Do black women do this, yes or no? It's a simple question, right? And I think if I have to answer yes or no, the answer is yes, they do, right? Now, in terms of why, that's like debatable. But what I'm going to say about that is this. Every race of woman in the United States of America is out educated in terms of like college degrees and like enrollment, etc. Like, on average, more white women have college degrees than white men. Like, that's true across every ethnic group of people in the United States of America. Why do only black women have such a viewpoint about education? And I'm going to tell you why. I think that a part of education is indoctrination. And so the reason why a lot of times these women become incompatible with men is not because they're educated. It's because you're indoctrinated into a particular belief system. And when you become indoctrinated by these systems, like these structures, you need somebody else who is also indoctrinated in that. Otherwise, like, your communication probably going to be off. You know, you're going to have you may have some issues. You're probably not going to think the same in a lot of like important areas of life. Now, sometimes, of course, it does relate down to basic intelligence, but you can't make it seem like people with degrees are the only ones who have intelligence or who are smart, because that's not true, baby. That is just not true at all. The other thing about that is this. Black men, like every other race of men in America, still, on average, out-earn black women. So why do I hear so many women complain and make it seem like, oh, well, if there's 20 black women in the room and 10 of them are making 100K and there's 20 black men in the room and one of them is like, that's not reality. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, because black men on average are still making more than black women. I think what this is more so a testimony to is the fact that a lot of black men who are making the money, black women are losing those guys. Like, we're just going to call it what it is. Like, a lot of times these guys are not dealing with black women, and it's not because they don't like black women. It's because a lot of times the black women that they come across don't treat them right, treat them terrible. Like, you see it. Just watch the Lapeef Network. Watch any network that's popular on social media and watch the way that black women interact with black men. It's very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful. It is the bottom line. And if a woman have conditions on her respect, then a man should have no time for it. Like, if you have to sit up here and treat a woman a certain way in order for her to respect you, then that just means that she don't like you, bruh. She don't like you like that. And I think that that's really what the revelation that a lot of black men are coming to, is that this is not about the way that black men treat y'all. This is based on you, on these women, and the fact that a lot of them, based on their own behavior, have a low-key, it feels like a low-key, like an animosity against black men that is not based on the behaviors of any one specific black man. It's based on something else, like something way bigger, like some other issue that she have, right? And that's the way that I see it. Like there's an underlining issue, like an overall frustration, I think, from some black women that's poured out on black men. And I like, if you ask me, like, where does that come from? Like, why should another black man have to pay for the actions of some black men they've never met? Like, why should, it's like saying, it's like, well, the history of black America is all messed up, right? Like, it's all tore up. It's terrible. Like, we understand, like, the history of black America, but who pays for it? Black people today still pay for it. We still carry the burden and the weight of our history, even if we had nothing to do with it. Like, even though we were never there, we was never enslaved, we never had anything to do with that, but still we have to carry that burden. Still we have to, like, be treated a certain way, even a lot of times by our own people, our own women, based on what they think, based on the narrative that they've been told. Like, in other words, the oppressor, the people who were responsible for our history, I'm talking about those who enslaved us and treated us any kind of way, like, they don't pay for it today. Black people are paying for it today. And that's the reality of it. And so, like, it becomes important for people to, like, elevate their mind, like, elevate their consciousness, and, like, really take a step back and, like, really think about why they act the way that they do. And this is particularly true for women, man, because I'm going to tell you this. Until women, like, realize that, like, as a feminine being, you have a role to play. Like, you have a divine role to play as a feminine being, which mean that there's certain things that you as a woman just should not be doing. And going back and forth with a man is one of the things that you really should not be doing. Like, just keeping it 100. Like, if you disagree with them, you can disagree with them, but going back and forth doesn't make any sense. Like, but that's just that. Like, there's other things. Like, there are perks. Like, there's a lot of things that I think women in general just should not do and should be reserved to men. And I'm gonna leave y'all with an example. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get out of here. You know, last night, literally, I was in Oakland, you know what I'm saying? And I sat up there and I was at a gas station and I watched a woman, a young black woman, pull up to an air pump, like the air pump machine, and, like, she get out the car, she start putting air in her tire. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, like, damn, like a single young black female doing that, like she don't have a brother, she don't have a husband, she don't have a dad, like in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. And I know a lot of y'all are like, no, well, a woman can do that herself, a woman can do her own thing, whoop whoop whoop. I go in the store, guess who working in there? A black, well, he looked black, but I asked him if he was Ethiopian. He said, no, I'm Yemenis. And I said, in Yemenis culture, if a woman needs to put air in her tire, how does that get accomplished? Like, how does that happen? And he was like, yeah, you know, in Yemenis culture, like, you know, hey, you know, probably her husband, her brother, or her father, somebody, her cousin, some male in her family is going to do it for her. Like she's not even going to do that. It's going to be taken care of by a man. And I said, man, like, hey, that's wonderful. That's beautiful, man. And he said, man, he says, you get it. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's the way it should be. You know, and I'm not saying there's not exceptions to the rule, but the bottom line is that, like, hey, our communities don't think like that. And I know some of y'all ladies have said, well, if I had a man in my life to do that, then I would allow him to do it. But the truth is that the culture does not promote that. The culture promotes the woman being independent and doing it herself, saying that she doesn't need a man to do it. I don't need a man to do it. So I'm going to go do it. I'm going to figure it out myself. I'm going to be this strong, independent woman. And that is the difference between Western women, like particularly Western independent black women, and women who are structured and organized and married in a lot of cases all over the world, is that they know their place and they actually will allow a man to take that position and respect him as such. They're not getting out of pocket. They're not getting outside their role as women. And that's why a lot of times those communities thrive and flourish. And so I really think that we need to, like, take a page from, like, other people's playbook to understand, like, yo, like, we need to do some things differently, like, because the way it's going right now, it's not working, right? So it's like, yo, if you keep doing something that isn't working, what is that called? That's insanity. But at the end of the day, I'm going to end it just like this. We know, and I'm going to keep it 1,000. A big part of the reason why black women have this contempt and hatred for black men, a big part of the reason is because a lot of these women, they want these black women. A lot of these I'm telling y'all, they are bisexual and lesbians, and they want black women to hate black men so that they have more black women to choose from. It's an indoctrination process into other things, a rejection of self and an indoctrination into something else that is not responsible for how you even got into this world. So y'all better be careful out there. Hey, like, share, subscribe, fam. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Till we chat again, it's Urban Politics. I'm checking out. Peace.